Today will be lesson 18 in instructional videos of Master Kuo Lien Ying's original Guanping Taiji form that he taught in Portsmouth Square. And for today, we're going to learn the move Fair Lady Works at Shuttles. And I think in the old days, we sometimes called it the four corner punch because it punches in four directions. Again, as in the other videos, we'll first do a review of how we get to this point, and then we'll go right into the lesson. So we'll start from the first diagonal whip, and we'll do partition of the wild horse's mane into the second diagonal, and that's where Fair Lady Works at Shadow starts. And again, we're going to be working on a diagonal line. So just go from here, the first diagonal single whip into partition of the wild horse's mane. We'll do two, one, two, and then the turn into diagonal single whip on the line. This is like on the diagonal line. From here, you're going to do the turn, step in, the sweep, and then the block and punch. And from here, again, step in, the sweep, the step out, the block and punch. Turn in, the sweep, the step out, and block and punch. Step in, sweep, step out, block and punch. And from here, we're going to go into grass bird's tail. Second variation where you step up. And then we'll end it on this move here. So in order to learn, again, we're teaching the real blocky, basic form that Sifu taught at Portsmouth Square. And as you progress, it becomes much more fluid. But in order to learn the sequential movement, you need to really break it up because it's a fairly complicated move, both in the stepping and the footwork and the timing of all the arm actions. So even before we begin the actual teaching of the move, I want to teach you the arm position. Okay, so from diagonal whip here, and then when you going to turn and do the step, this position here, we'll have an arm exercise to practice that. So if you just kind of follow me, so you're gonna like have your elbow down and imagine that you're holding a weight, a platter, a weight like this. And then this hand is gonna go underneath and you see that it's kind of hooking up like this, okay? Now, I'm being kind of dramatic. It doesn't really have to be quite that 90 degrees, but in order to kind of get the feeling, I kind of like to suggest that you practice that kind of basic position. And from here, you're going to drop your arm down and then use this left arm to sweep, clearing off anything off your arm like a push or a grab here. And then from here, you're going to recede with the right hand back to a punching position, and this hand will still be around mid-level. And then you're going to punch. And as you punch, the fist is vertical, and the arm actually is kind of indented in. It's not like straight out vertical, but it's in. Not necessarily like a 45 degree, but kind of just tilted in. Also, this hand, the expression of this hand is more like this rather than just straight in line. So again, like holding a weight or a platter, dropping down, sweeping back. Okay, in the sweeping action, you're both moving forward in this hand and pulling back with this hand. But this hand doesn't sweep all the way out. It stays kind of like halfway. Then from here, as you're punching and blocking at the same time, here. Okay, just try on one side at a time. The right hand up, left hand low. Okay, drop down, sweep, pull back to punch position, and then as you block and punch at the same time. This position, drop down, sweep, punch. Now we're going to go to the other side. Same thing, holding the weight, elbow straight down, arm vertical. This hand underneath the tricep, ready to do the sweep. This hand is hooked up like this, not flat like that. Now that's not like super critical, but just to kind of get that feeling of that lock, that's what I suggest. Drop down, sweep, and pull back. And from here, you're going to punch and block at the same time. Again, this arm is not quite 45, but it's tilted in and it's covering the right forehead. Here like this. Okay, go back again and practice on this side, holding that weight like a platter, and then the hook down here. Drop down the arm, sweep to about this position. So this is like it's kind of midway covering across, and then block and punch. Now we're going to go from side to side. So from again, starting with the right side, holding the weight, the hook, drop down, pull back as you sweep into the punch position, ready punch position, and then block and punch. And then change over to this side, this position here. And this position would be when you're step together, as you'll see later on. Okay, and then from here you're going to drop down your arm to about level. At the same time, sweep and pull back, and then punch. So we're going to go side to side, holding the weight position and the hook. Drop down, pull back to punch position as you sweep, and then block and punch. Then to the left side, holding the weight and hook, drop down, sweep to halfway position, block and punch, vertical punch. Okay, so now we're just going to go from side to side. Holding the weight position, hook, drop down your arm, sweep and pull, and then block and punch. And then now you can just kind of go from side to side. Drop down, sweep, block and punch. So if you break it down like this, then it's going to be really easier to remember. But in later on, as you progress, the timing will be built in so that all those positions that we're practicing are not necessarily blocky like that, but it's much more fluid. And then as you're working with the stepping, we'll have to break the stepping down so that you remember each sequence with the stepping. So we'll do that. But let's practice the stepping independently so you can understand the stepping first. So in the position that you're going to be in, you're on the diagonal line and you're going to be coming out of diagonal whip from here. So again, because in the first position, you're going to turn 3/4. You see from here. So when I say 3/4, because I was facing this way, now I'm facing this way. That's like a 3/4 turn. In the second position, you're going to just come up and you're actually going to do a quarter turn. And then in the next one, a 3/4 turn and then a quarter turn. So when you finish the last punch, you'll be punching straight on the line with a diagonal. So the first turn will be 3/4. Second turn will be, I call this open, a quarter turn, and then the 3/4 turn, and then a quarter turn. So in order to practice the footwork without the hand movement will be a good thing for you to practice. First practice the hand movement as I showed, and then practice the footwork by itself, and then we'll put it together. So let's put our hands on the hip for the footwork. And the diagonal whip, you're going to be in the TL stance on the diagonal. So for the footwork, you want to pivot off the heel because remember in the lesson I talked about the heel and toe. If I pivot off the toe, I have to move way back because I'm transferring my center on moving that center forward on that pivot. So what I want to do is pivot from the heel so my center stays in the center. Okay. So from here, you're going to have to pivot almost 180 degrees as far as you can to get that rear foot into that diagonal line like that. So again, from the horse, you want to do the pivot in and then step together. So now my feet are parallel to that diagonal line because I want to step out 90 degrees to that diagonal line into the horse stance. Okay, one more time. The horse stance will be on the line, and I want to pivot this foot off the heel in as I step together. Also, I want to maintain the same height. I don't want to, from here, come up and then drop down into horse. Come up, drop down into horse. I want to maintain the same level through the transition and into the horse. So when I'm in a quote unquote upright position, I'll actually be bent down with the knees. So here we are in the horse, pivot in, step together, step out on the horse. So now we're 3/4 of the turn from where we were. From here on this second one, we're just going to step in and then step out on the horse. So this will be a repeat of the very first move. So we turn in, step together, step out on the horse. Each time I'm making sure that I'm on that diagonal line, across or on the line. Then step in, my shoulders will be on the diagonal line, and step out on the horse. So you can just keep repeating this to practice the movement over and over. 3/4 turn, quarter turn, 3/4 turn, quarter turn, 3/4 turn, quarter turn, 3/4 turn, quarter turn. So that'd be the footwork. Okay, take a break, and then we're going to come back and we'll do the footwork and the hands together. So now we're going to try to incorporate the hands and the feet together. If you, again, the reason why I should really strongly suggest that you do the hand motion first to get used to it, and then the foot separately, the turning and the footwork, because so much to think about at one time if you're trying to learn it from scratch. So from diagonal whip here, okay, so from here, when you're doing the turn in for the 3/4 turn, as you do the footwork and you step together, is when you first come to that first position, and this will be on the left hand side, left meaning the left supporting the weight. So remember, supporting the weight and the hook here. In the timing of the stepping and the hand can change. It's not fixed, but in order to make it the simplest way to learn, I suggest you do the footwork first and then the hand movements separately. So we're going to step out into the full horse, and then here's we're going to drop the hand down, do the sweep, and pull back into the punch, ready punch position, and then the block and punch. And that'd be the easier way to remember the sequence. If you just break up the hand and feet separately. But of course, with all Taiji, you can have multiple ways to incorporate the timing of the hand movement with the footwork. But just in order to learn the basic move and the fundamentals and make sure that you can check your foundation and your stance, I suggest you do it very slow like this. So again, from diagonal single whip, when you turn in, so when you come into the feet together position is when you're going to have the weight and the hook position here. And then from here, you're going to look to your right, step out in the horse. And now is when you can do the drop down, sweep, recede to the punch position, and then block and punch. Okay, one more time on just that one side. If you can get that one side, that really will set you up for the proper execution, because the third movement is exactly a repeat of the first movement. So from diagonal, single whip here, turn the foot in. That's the first step. And then as you come in with this foot is when you get into this weight and hook position, I call it. That's the easiest way to remember. Holding the weight and hooking your arm. From here, just step out in the horse, drop down your left hand, and then pull, recede to the punch position, then block and punch. So from here, you're going to step up for the quarter turn. Step up, and again, as you step up, you go into the right hand weight and left hand hook position. Step out into your horse on the diagonal. Now you're going to drop down, sweep and pull back to the punch position, and then block and vertical punch. From here, you're just going to repeat the very first movement that you did, the first section, with a 3/4 turn. And so you're going to turn in your foot, come to the weight and hook position, step out in a horse, drop down, sweep, recede to the punch position, and then block and punch. Step forward, the right hand holding the weight, left hand hooking, stepping out into the diagonal line with the horse, drop down, pull back, sweep, recede to the punch position, and block and punch. So on the fourth punch, you should be punching on the diagonal line. Okay, one more time. So from diagonal whip, step together, the feet together position, step out on a horse, drop down, sweep, lock and punch, step together, weight and hook position, step out on a horse, 90 degrees, drop down, sweep, punch position, lock and punch, turn the foot in, 3/4 turn, step together, left hook, left weight and hook position, step out on a horse, drop down, sweep, punch position, lock and punch, step together, right weight, left hook, drop down, step out on a horse, drop down, sweep, pull back, block and punch. So now we're only in the actual form. You do 4 corners, 4 positions. But when you're practicing, you can do it over and over. So I'm going to do that from the diagonal whip, and it's going to look like this. So again, I'm doing it like the blocky style, where I break it up. So as you progress, you're going to be able to mix the timing so it's much more fluid, because you'll be able to do movements while in movement. And so it will look much more fluid. And there's different ways to express the movement. But that's much later on. I think I'll do a separate video presentation on how to change this basic move into much more fluid and changeable directions, but I don't want to like complicate the lesson by including that into this lesson for the beginner practitioner. For more advanced practitioners, I think I'll do this whole separate video on where a lady works the shuttle, talking about different application and different timing of the movements. But for now, we want to stick to just this basic pattern that I taught so that it'd be easier to learn. So, okay, so that's the lesson for today. You know, it looks pretty complicated again. If we just break it down like how I taught it, I think it'll be much easier for you to be able to pick it up. And again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'm always sure to answer any questions or comments that people present. So, okay, thank you very much. Okay, I forgot. I said that we're going to end with grass bird sale. Let me demonstrate from the partition of the wild horse name, the whole section that we want to get to before we get to golden cock stands on one leg. Because at that point, we're only like very close to the repeat section, and then you'll be like basically 3/4 of the way through the form. So again, from let's see, from the diagonal whip on this side. Again, I'm working with a fairly small space here, so I only can do 2 of the partition of the wild horse's mane. Turn into diagonal and whip. Now we're going to work. Fair lady works the shuttles. Okay, from here, this is what I want to teach. From here, you're going to just step up facing on a diagonal, and then you're going to reach out in the same position as the very first grass bird tail. Then you're going to pull back like grass bird tail without stepping back, and then you're just going to step up into the push position. The left foot will have come up. So we'll learn this second grass bird tail in a second. And then from here, it goes back on the 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock line into single whip. And then you're going to do wave hand like clouds into single whip. And this is where you'll be doing golden cock stands on one leg and then the whole repeat. So I'm just adding that in so you can see where we are in relationship to the movements in the form. So I think I'm going to face the camera this way for the grass bird tail after the punch so you can kind of see better. In fact, I'll face the camera. So when you're doing the final punch on the diagonal line, remember, I'll be normally, the punch would be on that diagonal line here. But in order for you to better see the stepping into the grass bird tail. So we're on the diagonal line right here and here. So all you do is you step forward and you have to pivot this foot a little bit so that when you step out on grass bird tail. So again, from the punch, this foot will be on the diagonal line here. You come up, then you're going to step forward, reach out, and remember form the T for grass bird tail. Then you just hydraulic release back to here. And if you're having a hard time, go back to the second lesson on grass bird tail from here. So normally on the first grass bird tail, you're going to step back, step out on a horse, and then do the press forward. So from here, you're just going to come back and then start to do the press forward. And this is what's known as like a follow stance, like almost like a xingyi, stepping in. And then again on that presentation on categorizing the movements. So this is a variation, second variation of grass bird's tail. So it's not like learning a whole new move, but it's just learning different footwork applied to grass bird's tail. So again, from the punch position, just step forward, just kind of relax the hands, elbows are slightly bent. Then as you reach forward, grass bird's tail, and then step forward here and press. So when I'm doing it here on the line, again here, the last block and punch of Fair Lady Works the Shuttles. I'm going to pivot this foot a little bit, open it up, step forward, then step forward on the diagonal, walk back, and then do the press forward with a follow step here. Then from here I'll be doing, I'm going to save this for the next lesson. I'm going to do the pivot into single whip, just like in the very beginning, and then single whip, and then wave hand like clouds, and then single whip. So that'd be how you get into grass bird's tail, and then the following moves. Okay, thank you.